Welcome everybody. First things first, if I could just get a quick audio visual check as always, please. Let me know if you can see my charts clearly. You can hear me all right. How are you all doing this fantastic day wherever you are? Hopefully you guys are all very excited with what's happening. Finally seeing Bitcoin hit an all-time high. STUBER present. Great to see you guys here with me already, filling up the chat already. Great to see you guys. As always, feel free to ask questions and do altcoin requests, that sort of thing. I'll probably hang out for half hour or so here. But yeah, guys, very exciting times right now. Also very dangerous. I want to be clear about that. But I want to go over a couple pros and cons. Obviously, you know what? I can't say too much bad stuff right now. All I can do is mention a few things to be cautious of. A few ways to protect yourself from that, all that sort of thing. Looks good, sounds good. Thank you so much, you guys. Great to see some familiar faces. To the moon, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, let's put it this way. After a long, grueling 4 months since the market took a dive, Bitcoin has finally begun testing all-time highs once again. I want to discuss a few potential scenarios, how I plan to tackle this market moving forward, the risks involved with both sides of things, clear up a few misunderstandings, and so on. So with that, we're going to hop right into it. You can see I have a couple blue dotted lines, and yes, this does mean that I have recently just entered a short just before starting my stream here. So I wanted to get that out of the way right at the start of my stream here. You guys, I want to be clear about something. I know a lot of people think that I'm a perma bear, and yes, to be honest, I have been quite bearish for some time. And right now I still have my concerns, but there's also a lot of good to be said. The only reason I'm taking a short right now, it's actually not because I'm overly bearish right now. I am taking a short as a hedge. I still have a quarter of my long running from this reversal STUBER that we had down here. And I still haven't sold any of my spot, anything like that. So full disclosure, guys, I would love to see this market go absolutely parabolic from here. I want the market to pump. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand with just because I've been making some bearish videos in the past. A lot of people think that I want Bitcoin to fail. And that's not at all the case. I absolutely love crypto. I love Bitcoin. I use it every day. I trade it every day. I transfer it every day. You know, I just use it. I love it. I love the volatility of it and so on. But I do just want to go over a few red flags, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, now that we've broken all-time highs, I really feel like it's just a matter of time until we do pump to the upside. And that being said, you know, even if we do get rejected, I still see some room for upside. The only reason I'm taking this short right here is because, again, as I mentioned, it is a little bit of a hedge because I still, as mentioned, have a little bit of a long going. I still have all my spot bags. I'm actually more bullish on altcoins than I am with Bitcoin currently. So, you know, if we just moon from here, I will be thrilled just like the next person. But what I want and what could happen, maybe some different things, right? So I just want to protect myself because as any trader should, you should always have a plan and a backup plan. So even though I have this short open here, like I said, it's not that I'm overly bearish right now. It's just for insurance purposes, so that can hedge against my portfolio. It can hedge against this long position. Honestly, this long position down here, this started as a hedge. All right. I was actually in a short from up here, and I ended up taking a little bit of a hedge down here. The rest of the short, you know, I locked in some profits. The rest got stopped out. That's happened a lot in this range. That's totally fine, guys, right? There's a big difference between scalping and swing trading. I myself look for more so scalps and hope that a part of the position turns into a runner, which is a swing trade. But this long started as a hedge, and now it's ran very nicely. I've taken some nice profits off of it. Now I want to hedge a short. And if this short gets stopped, my portfolio and this long will take off. Likely my altcoin bags and everything will take off if the market goes parabolic. So I would love to see this market take off. So that's one big misunderstanding that I wanted to clear up right at the start of this video here, you guys. So that's why I started on the 5 minute here. But let's zoom out and look at what happened, why I took this hedge short where I did. So I'm actually seeing a potential swing fail here, right? And the reason why I'm taking a short with this is just because the invalidation's so tight, right? I mean, from here on a 10x trade like this, My invalidation is just a little above 111K. So at a 10x trade, this is only about an 11% loss. And obviously, position sizing and all that sort of stuff. It's basically, I go into any trade knowing what worst case scenario is. You should always assume that, hey, there's a good chance that I lose a trade when I enter it. So minimize the risks involved, have your tight stop losses, have all that sort of thing. But I'm basically looking at this as a possible swing fail of the all-time highs, because let's zoom out, you guys, to the 4 hour and look where I've had this range pulled for quite some time, you guys. And the reason I've had it is basically just since our all-time high at January 20th. So the fact that that's this yellow line here, right around 110K. And notice what happened when we got above it. It just kind of turned into a wick. Now, full disclosure, on the 4 hour, it's not like this looks bad yet. It's just that, on the 5 minute, we did have this little bit of a rejection. I shorted, and we're just going to see what happens with that hedge position. Honestly, I hope it gets stopped out, and I hope my bags just pump to the moon, but we don't always get what we want. So I wanted to protect myself there. I just want to zoom back out to the 4 hour chart here. So guys, this is just basically a typical STUBER fib setup. Notice I have it a little bit color coded for today's stream. So basically when I look at a trade setup, like let's pretend this is a 5 minute chart, not a week or not a 4 hour chart like this. But what I typically like to look for in a trade setup would be something like so. Notice that. So we had this high, slightly higher high, the higher low, because it's the lowest point between the two. When we ended up losing that structure, that's where I start pulling my bearish fib. So basically, I've been eyeing up this level as a potential resistance zone. And I know a lot of people think that I refuse to change my bias. The reason why I've still had these levels on my radar is because nothing had been invalidated yet, other than the micro downtrend. This didn't become realistic at all until we broke this level. Because on the immediate downtrend, this is where we had our low, lower low. This was the lowest, or the lower high, because it was the highest point between the two. After we broke that, so that's, one trade setup where, yeah, it went against me, whatever, it ends up getting invalidated, pumps the upside. That immediate downtrend was broke. But at that point, that's where I start looking at the actual swing. And I know a lot of people think that, trading the 5 minute is so degenerate and all that sort of stuff. But if you look at things as an actual swing trade, we are now into the resistance zone. So that's just what I want to put on your radar to be a little bit cautious of, right? Even if things aren't necessarily bearish, it's always good to be a little bit cautious as you're trading into resistance, because the price always looks strongest at resistance. It always looks weakest at support. But basically how I have this color coded here is from the 786 to the 886. So notice that my range of resistance, all of you guys here with me now, those of you guys in my Telegram, et cetera, should all be very familiar with my STUBER fibs, and being the 786, 886 fib pocket. And that's the purple one that I have here. A STUBER fib does not end there. Okay. That's the typical pocket, if the downtrend was going to continue very aggressively. But from there, I've also mapped out double top territory. That's my yellow box here, which runs from the 886 up to my 1. So that would be the full retracement. And then I also have this red box above, and this would be my swing fail level, right? So the one that I just showed you on the smaller time frame, that's obviously a much smaller version of it. But as far as the actual swing of this move, we still haven't invalidated the bearish structure for me. I still want to see 115K broken. That would invalidate this as a typical trade setup. If I was, if we were ignoring all the numbers on the side and we just focused on just market structure, you guys. If this was a 5 minute chart, because typically I'm not even trading the 4 hour, right? You guys know that I'm typically trading the 5 minute and stuff like that. But if this was a typical 5 minute, I would be looking at laddering in shorts basically all the way up towards the 115. And after that, I'd be looking at cutting my losses. I treat this a little bit different because it's a bigger time frame with using high leverage and stuff like that. I don't want my stop loss to be that far away, so I'm looking for shorter setups like that. But this would be the swing fail area that I'd be interested in. And that is just where we've started trading into. Now, we could absolutely blast through this, right? I just want it to be on your radar that we are still in a level of danger. And that goes for both sides of things. That goes for people who are bearish. Honestly, I'm not even feeling that bearish anymore, but that's quite typical because I have emotions just like everybody else. And as we start getting to all-time highs like this and getting towards resistance, it looks strong. I feel like FOMOing as well. But I'm bringing this up because, just be cautious at this level. I'm not saying you have to short it. I'm not saying you have to sell all your spot, nothing like that. Just please be cautious at this level, no matter what side of the fence you sit on, because from the bull's perspective, longing into resistance is always dangerous, right? And that is where we are right now. We are at resistance. From a bearish perspective, it's dangerous shorting right now because FOMO can kick in like crazy at all-time highs, and we could absolutely go parabolic. Like I already went over at the start of the stream, I don't care either way. I'm just kind of taking it one trade at a time. I would love to see my bags pump if we go parabolic. But that being said, I'm totally open to still, as long as we are trading anywhere in this zone, if I see any lower time frame STUBERs, swing fails, anything like that, that's where I'm interested in trying to find some sort of a hedge, just in case the market does something like this. I'm not saying it has to, but if it does, I just want to protect myself from that. So I know a lot of people have a misunderstanding about how I feel about Bitcoin and how I'm looking at things, but understand there's a very big difference between analyzing or predicting what's going to happen and how you're actually trading it, right? So that's kind of why I have these boxes color coded anyways, just to break that down very quickly for you guys. Like I said, purple is the STUBER fib pocket itself. Then we have our double top pocket here, and then we have our swing fail level. So I just wanted to clear that up. On the weekly chart, guys, we still look good. The one thing that I do have concerns about is, again, that same invalidation, right? The 115, we have not hit it yet. We got a clear 115K to actually invalidate that potential setup. And I do think we can go a little bit higher because the RSI, even if we do get rejected here, and again, guys, this is a very big if, but if we end up getting rejected here, there's still a little bit of room for the RSI to go to the upside. I've been warning about this bearish divergence a little bit. That this is a very typical oversold bearish divergence that I love to see, that, hey, we're trading into the same resistance level, but with significantly less strength. So it's just something to pay attention to, that, if we end up getting stopped or rejected somewhere in this level and the RSI starts to curl to the downside, that might be a perfect rejection RSI divergence there. So again, just something to pay attention to on the weekly. But again, even the fact that we're closing above the 886, that's already a sign of strength. We're going to have to see if we close above our all-time high. This will be on Sunday, so we got a few sleeps yet. What do we got? 4 full days until this weekly candle closes. So a lot can change. That can turn into a swing fail as well, but we won't know until Sunday, right? So we just have to wait that one out. But so far, it looks not too bad. I am concerned about this divergence, but so far, we are still climbing. So momentum still favoring the upside. The monthly chart, I still have my concerns. As far as a timing perspective, it makes sense that our momentum, does it make sense for our momentum with these crosses on my momentum indicator to run out after 28 months? Well, last cycle, it was about 26 months. So typically speaking, market cycles get a little bit slower, a little bit longer. So yeah, a few extra months on there. We're starting to get to that time frame where it at least makes sense. We have the bearish cross on this momentum indicator. So far, it has never been wrong. Here we would have got a swing fail from where it crossed bearish. We ended up getting a swing fail here, which ended our market cycle, but it never did get invalidated, right? Same thing. It never did break above the 115. It basically tested it perfectly, but it never did invalidate it. So that bearish setup did happen there, even after getting this cross and then a little bit of a bounce. So we could be seeing the same thing right now. Again, there's a lot of what ifs. We're going to have to see. I am by no means trading the monthly chart anyways. I'm just kind of looking for any sort of red flags to help me stay level-headed more than anything, because especially when we start hitting all-time highs like this, analysis goes straight out the window. People's emotions get the best of them. They think it's never going to stop. It's just going to climb forever and that sort of thing. So I just like to zoom out and kind of get a better idea of what's actually going on. And we're going to have to see. Like I said, no matter how you look at it right now, we're trading in a resistance zone, but we have good momentum to the upside. No matter what side of the fence you're on, this is a dangerous level to be looking for new positions. That's end of story. It doesn't matter if you're looking for longs or you're looking for shorts. This level is dangerous. And that's exactly why I am very quickly updating my stop losses and stuff like this. With this one, I'm not as worried because, again, it's more of a hedge than anything. But any chance we get, if we start going back down to the bottom of this range here, I will absolutely be looking to take some profits and updating my stop loss, just like I've been doing for the last week or two, basically since we started getting into my resistance pocket, right? And this was, approximately May 8th is where we got into the start of my resistance. So we've been here for almost 2 weeks now. So, ever since I've been I've taken a lot of short setups in this area. That doesn't mean I lost a lot of trades. Okay. I want to be clear about that. Like I said, I trade the 5 minute. I don't even trade the 4 hour typically. But so often I end up hitting my first or second scalping target on my STUBER fibs. And that's, they're right on my Fibonacci. If I pull my Fibonacci, it's got my entry levels on there. It's got my take profit levels on there, my partial take profits, I should say. And from there, if I get stopped out on the rest, then so be it. But I really, if the market does take an unexpected nosedive, I just want to be ready for it and have some sort of a hedge against my portfolio because, well, I prefer to be covered from every direction because let's face it, the crypto markets especially are very risky, very high volatile. Trading them with leverage is very risky. So I like to protect myself whenever possible. So far, we're still kind of flirting with that all-time high level. We're going to have to see what happens here, even if we could even get a little swing fail level of this area. Basically, well, yeah, my stop loss is slightly above 111K anyways. So on that hedge. So if that happens, great. The rest of my bags, the rest of that long from down here, those will all be moving great. So we'll just have to see what happens from here. I do want to catch up on the chat a little bit before I get too deep into this. Guys, for those of you, and I mean, like I said, there is a difference between analyzing and how I'm actually trading things. So a lot, even the people in my Telegram, there's a lot of things I'm going over in there, just talking about the structure. And guys, I have been emphasizing so much in there, how, yes, I see a lot of red flags, but I keep outlining just how dangerous these areas are. So I do just want to show just as a couple examples. For one, if you just like seeing, how I look at market structure, seeing how I pull my Fibonacci's, see how I'm tackling the markets and actually trading rather than just analyzing. Here's a perfect example as I laid this one out live in real time. Just basically a STUBER fib. It played out over the course of a couple days. It eventually hit my 214 fib target before we ended up reversing. So beautiful trade there. I was also talking about FWOG recently, just meme coins in general. And as I mentioned at the start of the stream, that I'm actually more bullish on altcoins than Bitcoin at this point. So yeah, just a few different things I'm looking at there. As I mentioned, just talking and outlining, just, I still consider trading this range risky, period. I stand by that fact. Just trading this again. Where was it? Well, yeah, basically talking about the potential of either way, right? Just assuming that a huge move is looming, but which way? I mean, we're going to have to see. Nobody knows for sure. A lot of people just have educated guesses, right? Also great to see that, getting some messages from people who have, taken some of my trade setups and that sort of thing. I love seeing this, you guys. So before you say, oh, Stu, you're bearish, you've been wrong this whole trend, understand that us as traders are still able to make some sick profits like this in a very short amount of time, just based off some typical scalp Fibonacci setups and all that sort of thing. And actually, I got rid of that there. But yeah, guys, like I said, if you want to see more examples of how I look at fibs, how I look at market structure, just keeping a level head in general, you just want a second opinion, You want to see some of my private videos of how I pull my STUBER fibs, all that sort of thing. Again, that is in the Telegram. You can scan the QR code or follow the link and the steps in the description down below. But with that, let me catch up on the chat a little bit. Again, guys, if you have any altcoins you want me to check out quick or anything like that, let me know what coin as well as what time frame you're looking at. Because again, a lot of people are more swing traders looking at the 4 hour, the daily, stuff like that, whereas I might be looking more so at the 5 minutes. So just let me know. Alrighty. Where's Tone and Matt? I believe they already did the morning show. So they usually do the morning show. I prefer to do evening shows or afternoon, whatever. Got a headache already? Well, goodbye. Bye-bye. Let's see, what else? What brilliant insight. I'm not sure who that was for or what the previous message was. BTC is going to 120K within a few days. I would love to see it, brother. I would love to see Bitcoin at 120K. And I don't really disagree with you. I mean, things still look good. It's just be aware that we still do have this whole swings fail area, right? And also understand, guys, I'm not trying to scare anybody. Like I said earlier at the start of the video, I fucking love Bitcoin. I love crypto, but I also love trading with a level head. And I treat my investments and my trading account very differently. And as far as my trading account, I do not care which direction we go. It does not matter to me in the slightest. Where would I look to jump into some alts? Good question. Are you meaning what price levels or what exchange, or what are you talking there? Hopefully I say this right. Kazi. BTC will pump till mid-July. I would love to see it. And honestly, from a market cycle timing perspective, I would agree that we have some time that we could continue to the upside, especially now if we get a clean break of the all-time high, we actually start staircasing higher from here, even on lower time frames. We just start to kind of do one of these where, hey, new higher high, new higher high, new higher high. We start to staircase like that. And at that point, we have some new opportunities to get into some longs on pullbacks, right? And at that point, as we're actually consolidating above all-time highs, that's where I think that Bitcoin will absolutely explode to the upside. I fully believe that, but we're just going to have to see what happens. How big is my house? A little over 2,000 square feet. 2-story, if that helps. Big yard. Hey Stu, thoughts on ETH? I am actually going to check out ETH in a little bit, Chaos. I want to check out ETH. I want to check out Solana, get a better feel for the altcoins in general. What altcoins am I currently holding? Oh geez, I have to load up a wallet to even see what I'm all holding. Currently I am spot trading meme coins quite a lot. Some of them low market caps, some of them a little higher. Like I said, I was looking at FOG earlier. So yeah, I'm well, there's several meme coins I'm holding, and then also things like Crow, like CRO, crypto.com, holding some of that, holding some Solana. What are some other ones? I actually don't hold ETH. Bitcoin, Graphane. Just give me a sec here. Where is... Let me just check an account. I always forget. So usually I don't care about altcoins that much, so I always forget what I'm even holding. Let's see. Got... Oh yeah, those are mostly degenerate coins. What would be some more? Oh god, why am I drawing a blank on altcoins? I can't even. Okay, so yeah, I'd have Bitcoin, FOG, Solana, IQ, Peng, Graphane, Hype, a little fart, lingo, trio, swarm, sui, CRO, like I mentioned. Yeah, so just a handful of random altcoins ranging in markets, cap sizes, and all that sort of stuff. What pullback levels on Bitcoin would I look for altcoins? That's interesting. Right now, I don't have a strong opinion about that because I trade altcoins completely separate from Bitcoin because, like I said, I trade altcoins that are, vary in market caps, anything from basically 5 million market cap up to, the billions of market caps. So I treat them differently. And also just that the market is so diluted with so many different coins between meme coins, altcoins, et cetera, et cetera. There's just so many out there that so many of them do their own thing. So the fact that Bitcoin is actually even testing all-time highs, and the fact that, Ethereum and Solana have so much room to go until they even reach their macro resistance, I'm just kind of interested in altcoins as a whole. I'm kind of just randomly spot buying things that interest me basically every day at this point for now. Because yeah, like I said, I mean, the reason why I was cautiously bearish on Bitcoin is because Bitcoin has already got up to its macro resistance, right? And it can absolutely break through and continue trending higher. I would love to see it. But what I'm getting at is Ethereum hasn't even made it there yet, right? It's still got some room before it's even at resistance. Same with Solana, same idea, right? It's got plenty of room before it would even reach its macro resistance. What would that be from here with Solana? The 786 is still another 44% away. So there's some potential very large moves for altcoins yet. And that's just one of the reasons why I think eventually they will play catch up. That tends to happen at the end of market cycles as well. When the clock kind of starts running out is when Bitcoin actually forms its top, or even just if it, forms a temporary top, starts consolidating, gets a time-based correction, whatever you want to call it. Altcoins will generally move a little bit later, and even at the very end of a market cycle. And this is why in my last couple streams, I was quite vocal about even if Bitcoin had topped. And again, that's a huge if, right? It's still a huge if. But if Bitcoin topped, I would still expect some sort of a final push from altcoins. You typically see that. I mean, we've seen that the last couple market cycles. It would not be too surprising to end up seeing that happen again. So yeah, that would be quite interesting. So since I had an Ethereum request earlier, just looking at it, like I said, still has room to go to the upside. I can take a look. Let's zoom in a little bit. The 4 hour. Technically, there's some bearish structure on this little swing here because we did actually lose this higher low on the very immediate trend. But again, with Bitcoin hitting all-time highs and stuff, I'm not so sure we're going to see altcoins respecting these bearish setups as much. And just looking at the structure, I mean, we have this high, we have a higher high. This would be the higher low because it's the lowest point between the two. And we've obviously broke that. So in that case, as a typical STUBER fib, we may see a little bit of trouble. We're getting very close to that STUBER fib, but it's a smaller one. And like I said, even if we get a pullback there, I just don't know how long it's going to last. I feel like a lot of altcoins are going to continue pushing to the upside and at least test some macro resistance levels. But obviously the market doesn't give a shit about my opinions or my feelings. So we're going to have to see. But just as far as looking at market structure for what it is, that's just something to be a little bit cautious of. But we break that. I see no reason why Ethereum would stop before 3,500 or so. And realistically, if Bitcoin's going to smash all-time highs and other things are going to start popping off, then I don't see a reason why Ethereum has to stop there, right? It's just always good, again, to be cautious when we start trading into resistance is all. Gotta have some Doge. Oh yes, actually in another wallet I do have some Doge. Don't know how I forgot about that one. But yes, agree. That's probably a good one. Just overall, it's survived a long time. It's been around for more than just one market cycle. Who loves it, etc., etc. A lot of reasons to be bullish on Doge. all things considered. I didn't mean what altcoins holding, but what alts keeping an eye on for trade setups for short time frame trades. That's where I would be looking at things like just as far as trading. I mean, I haven't been watching Ethereum, but I really should start watching Ethereum more. Solana would be another obvious one. Hype would be another one that I like trading. Grifane a little bit. Like I said, FWOG I've started trading a little bit. Did I mention Fartcoin? That one I've been talking about once in a while in my Telegram. I was posting a few trades on that for a little bit, but haven't taken a trade on that in a while. Sui I've been watching a little bit. Haven't taken a trade on that in a while either. CRO mostly just spot, but yeah, that would be a few of the random altcoins that I've been looking for those lower time frame trade setups on. Like I said, with FWOG, there's a few reasons why I've started looking for longs on this one. I wanted to start testing the STUBER fibs on this a little bit. So this one, like I said, I still have a quarter of this running. But one of the things that caught my eye with this, and I actually want to open up a longer time frame FWOG because this is the BloFin chart here that we can trade with leverage. I also want to bring up the full chart of FWOG. And something that caught my eye the other day is with the MDX Trendmaster indicator, we actually had a buy signal. And on top of this buy signal, so this is on a daily, right, guys? I mean, this is the first daily signal on this indicator to date. So the fact that we got that buy signal on the daily, and as well, let me just remove this here. Just looking at the micro trend of things here. Obviously, we had our high here. We had a slightly higher high, so higher low, higher high, higher low. So that being said, I could also pull as far as the micro trend, even though it's the daily, it's just the micro trend of the daily chart, just the immediate trend. We would have something like that, right? So as far as a STUBER fib setup, we also dip down into this fib pocket here. So that lining up with the MDX Trendmaster there, I just figured, you know what? I don't mind holding some spot on this. So I bought some spot FWOG. And also, like I said, I would be starting to watch shorter time frames on the BloFin chart, looking for trade setups on it as well. Because I think, if the market is going to get silly and it is going to get parabolic, I see no reason why specifically meme coins and meme coins that have broken some very serious structure, I think that they would perform very well if we're going to get any sort of an altcoin season. Because, I mean, we've seen it, the start of this cycle, or I don't know, it was a year or two ago. I mean, we saw meme coins going nuts. And so often that is one of the later phases in a cycle. And when I say cycle, I don't necessarily mean a market cycle, but sometimes you have mini cycles in there. So you'll see a bit of a money flow cycle, right? You'll see Bitcoin start to do well, then the higher caps start to do well, then the micro caps and meme coins start to do well, just because, people get a little silly with all their profits, etc. So, I truly believe that a lot of these coins with low market caps that have been breaking some serious structure on things like the daily, I think there's a lot of room to go to the upside on things like this. It obviously doesn't have to. And I think when the actual bear market does kick in, meme coins are going to get absolutely devastated. I mean, they are going to crash 99%. They'll bounce. They'll go down 99%. They'll bounce. They'll go down. It's actually going to be a lot of fun, I think. But I just don't think that we're there at this point because so many meme coins and low cap alts have formed some sort of bottoming formations, just breaking structure on the daily and stuff like that. So that's kind of my thoughts with altcoins there. What do I feel the sentiment is on Doge versus Pepe for this or the next cycle? I don't know if there's really a versus there. I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other. I just assume that if there's any sort of meme coin season or cycle, I think they'll both do fantastic. Do I use any dexes? I do use Hyperliquid a little bit, but I mostly trade on BloFin. At least as far as leverage. I also trade on, with my Solana wallet, also trade on like Jupiter and stuff like that as well. But yeah, most of my trading, especially leverage trading, is all on BloFin, and then spot trading I do kind of all over the place. Bitcoin still just kind of pausing. One thing that I do want to mention is just the fact that we're not seeing an absolutely heinous rejection off this swing fail, I think does speak volumes, and I think it's showing a lot of strength. I still want this hedge as an insurance play, like I said earlier. But it is nice to see that we're not absolutely dumping off a cliff as soon as we tested this resistance, right? Yeah. Other than that, another thing I wanted to say, guys, another reason why I think we could absolutely just keep blasting to the upside is just take a look at, I mean, the greed is starting to get up there a little bit, but Binance retail is so short heavy. So many retail are trying to short this move, and that includes me, right? I'm in there. I am taking those shorts, but I have my bullish positions in place. So my short is more of a hedge at this point. But that's just something to consider, is that, I think if we were going to get rejected anytime soon, I think that this long level or this long number would actually be substantially higher. The fact that there's so much retail trying to short this move makes me think that there's absolutely the possibility that adds a lot of rocket fuel, and Bitcoin just absolutely goes on a moon mission and actually breaks through the resistance, right? So far, we're still in it, but it's not looking so bad, as I mentioned. Thoughts on Arweave? Solid project, Texas, real big community. Never heard of it, so I don't have a strong opinion, I suppose. Just like that. Would that just be, is this the one you're talking about there, Chaos, hopefully? Let's start with the daily. Actually looks a lot like Fog, right? We got our buy signal. We had this little STUBER fib on the micro trend here. Tested the 786, absolutely pinpoint accurate there. Obviously, it has already hit the 0.5 fib. How big of a move was that? Just this very small move here. That it was only a 10% move. But on top of that, we've also obviously broken structure, right? So we have the Trendmaster buy signal. We have this mini STUBER fib here. We have this low, lower high, which we've obviously broken above. So as far as the analysis goes, I think it looks good on the daily. Again, I haven't heard of this. I know nothing about it, so I'm just taking your word for it. But it obviously has a bunch of chart history, right? Let's go back weekly. Oh yeah, check this out. Oh, actually, this is the logarithmic chart, so it looks significantly different. Or wait, is it? Yeah, must be. Okay. So we're looking more something like that. So we are slightly below the 886. We're still above double bottom territory. But yeah, that's obviously a very, very big range. As far as the smaller one here, like I said, the daily, we got, well, several bullish things lining up. Let's check out the 4 hour actually. Kind of testing resistance right now. Just looking at the micro downtrend, you can see here we had a low and we did actually go slightly lower. You could also consider it a swing fail, right? The fact that we dipped below but closed green here. Beautiful long setup there. Has already hit that 0.5 fib, as I mentioned earlier, from the STUBER setup. However you want to look at it, not looking so bad there, but just be a little bit cautious because we're starting to trade. Well, even the fact that we wicked above, I think if anything, if we see a little pullback, I think it would be bought back up, but we're going to have to see, right? As long as nothing crazy happens and spooks the market, I think altcoins are in a good place as long as nothing crazy happens and spooks the market, because obviously nothing is, guaranteed that it just has to keep going higher, because there's a lot of events that could happen globally that could change things, especially these days. A lot of uncertainty. So Bitcoin's starting to tumble a little bit. Again, early to say what's going to happen here, but that's just, I think you kind of know by now why I took this position. Like I said, that potential swing fail there, I just couldn't ignore it. We're gonna have to see. Like, it's quite natural, even previous market cycles, when we ended up breaking all-time highs, for example, back here when we had our 20K high. Notice that we did consolidate right against the all-time highs for about 4 or 5 weeks until we actually ended up breaking out. So don't be too surprised if we just consolidate around resistance for a while. If that does happen, it doesn't necessarily mean that, the cycle's over or anything. If we're actually consolidating against resistance rather than just getting rejected immediately, that would be a good sign, in my opinion, because we would just be tapping away at resistance. The more we tap away at it, the weaker it's going to get. But again, let's go back to the 5-minute. I want to take a look at the 1-minute as well. So notice the 1-minute actually, right when we got our swing fail on the 5-minute, right? Notice our 5-minute, we got that big wick above and we closed our red candle there. So that's our swing fail. Notice the 1-minute actually lost some structure there as well. This is micro analyzing, but take it for what it is. I love doing this. On this uptrend, just this immediate uptrend here, we had this high where you see we got this little pause with our red candle there and a higher high. So this is our confirmed higher low. When we ended up breaking that, well, it's just another warning sign why that swing fail may end up playing out, right? That being said, so currently this would have been our low, lower low. Highest point between the two would be our lower high on the micro trend, right? I mean, ideally we still want to, from a shorting perspective, I mean, this is still our resistance. This is still where we pivoted for our swing fail, right around 110.8K. But as far as the new micro trend goes, this would be the resistance that I'd be interested in, 110.1K basically, just because we have that low, lower low. If we set a new lower low here, then we have a new one, right? If we do something like that, because we'd have our low, lower low, that would be our lower high, but we don't have that yet. So right now, this is still the structure. So if we wanted to look for some sort of a micro STUBER fib, I would basically be pulling a fib from this level at this point. I'm looking for a retrace up to my purple fibs there, but the thing with that gets a little bit risky, because even if you ended up taking a short on something like that, even if it gets stopped out, you just have a new resistance level slightly higher, right? So I like to play the bigger ones. That's why I would like to go from where we've actually pivoted from and looking at something like that if we were looking for a new STUBER fib. Something like that. Again, have to see what happens. And then above there would be invalidated. We're going to have to see what happens. But as far as looking for an actual STUBER fib setup, as far as a scalp, that's kind of the one where I would start to look for resistance around 110.4K there. But yeah, if this swing fail holds, then I don't really see us getting above this level. 110.1 basically. BTC lost the daily open. That's not too surprising, just because the daily open just happened. Quite often, really close to the daily open, you see it flip flop a couple times. But yeah, the swing fail, losing where we opened the candle. Chaos, it's online storage, pay once, store forever. Interesting. A lot of crypto projects use it to store their data. Interesting. Yeah, I've never heard of that Arweave, honestly, but sounds interesting. Would I say on the 5-minute BTC almost hit the 786 territory from resistance or support? Oh, never mind. Forget I said that. Looking at the bullish Stuber on the 5-minute. Okay, let me just check the 5-minute. No. Nowhere close to a bullish one yet, because the most recent structure we have, the previous high of this would have been this, right? Because here's our high and our next higher high was here. So that means the higher low is actually way down here. So as far, and not to say we can't bounce here, obviously there's, thousands of different trading strategies out there. But as far as my Stuber fibs, I look for this structure break and then look for the pullback. It doesn't always happen, but it's a way to get a deeper pullback and get tighter stop losses, get closer to the full range pullback, basically some sort of a decent retracement. So as far as the 5-minute bullish scenario, I would be looking for significantly lower, closer to 107K. If we get down there, I will absolutely be taking some profits off my hedge short. Even though it's a hedge, I would absolutely be looking at taking some profits on that if we end up getting down there. Another thing, I don't want to say that's the only bullish setup by any means. Let's say, let me just erase a couple of things here. One way that we would have a new bullish setup would be, like I said, this was our high. This is our higher high. If we set another higher high, right? Something like this. Let's say the price gives her one of these. Then we would have a Stuber fib down somewhere in this area, right? Because we would be looking at pulling a fib from wherever we're currently bottomed to, and this is only valid if we break this high, right? But if we break it, we'd have a fib something like that. And just notice that the eyeball is drawn to it nowadays. I really don't have to draw the fibs anymore, but I do just for sake of explanations. But yeah, this is a setup that I would say there's a valid Stuber fib, but we just don't have that structure quite yet is all. So the one we currently have is way down here. I see what you were, I assume you were looking at something like this, just a mini one like that. There's not actually a high that was broken, so I don't consider that valid if that's what you were looking at. That's all. We need a course in micro TA. Well, if that's the case, if you like micro analyzing and you like looking at how I look at structure, how I pull fibs, like I said, there's actually some private Stuber fib videos in my Telegram channel that only the people there get to see, where I kind of break down the foundation and the structure behind Stuber fibs and stuff a little bit more clearly as a reference, for people to check out rather than just my examples live here. But yeah, if you want to see more examples of how I look at microstructure, structure in general, how I pull fibs, how I keep a level head, just kind of some of my ideas, some of my trade setups, some of my just overall view on the market and what's happening, do yourselves a favor, scan the QR code on the screen, or click the link and follow the steps in the description below. With that, guys, I think that's about all I wanted to go over today. Very exciting day. Obviously, everyone's emotions are running high. We all love the fact that Bitcoin has, tested all-time highs once again, finally. So I love to see it, but just remember, please be cautious at these levels. There's a lot of things that could go wrong from either direction. As I mentioned in my Telegram earlier, and as I showed on screen, I've been very vocal about, I just truly believe that as we're trading in this macro resistance zone, it's just dangerous no matter which way you want to look at it. Either you're longing into resistance or you're shorting against a very powerful trend. So either way, it's very risky. So anyways, guys, if you did appreciate this stream, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss these streams. And as I mentioned, if you want access to my private Telegram channel where I share some of my theories, some of my trade setup ideas, and just overall thoughts on the markets, there is the link down below for that, as well as the QR code on the screen in front of you. So with that, thank you all so much for being here with me again today. I will catch you guys on the next one. Stay safe out there, my friends. Peace.